let's talk about Nabi Paul. Let's talk about the strength and the weaknesses of this system. Let's also talk about the individual mistakes that we can fix in order to make sure that this system is flying. Hello and welcome to Kosi Nation Fan TV. I am Pelo, I am your host, and this is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs Amakosi Football Club. By now, you've already noticed that Kaizer Chiefs plays a system of a 3-4-2-2. Let me show you what's happening here. You have the goalkeeper with the two center backs on his side. That makes the first three. And then in front of him, there is the right back, which is Ofrosla. Then the double pivots of Yusuf Mart and Jablo Blom. And on the left, Bradley Cross. And then in front of them, you'll have Ranga Chivaviro dropping into midfield. And then you have the first 10, which is Nkosi Mpile Ngcobo in the game against Imakesi. And then you had Mfundo Vilakazi starting on the right. And then you had Umtutuze Shabalala starting on the left, also inverting into the midfield and then allowing Uranga Chivaviro to then run into the box. Now, that is the system. That's how we're set up. But what were we actually trying to do? Well, we know by having that box midfield, 4 people congesting midfield, we're trying to get this team to get closer to us. And then by Cross and Frosla, we're trying to get the team to be wide. And also by putting Umtu Shabalala and Mfundo Vilakazi further ahead of everyone else's because they are willing runners and they can chase after the ball and get to it. But what we saw as well in this game is that Mfundo Vilakazi, when he got the ball, he was trying to also invert and add more numbers in midfield. And then that ended up leaving Frosla being the one who's running out wide and was the one who ended up being the one who was actually receiving those diagonal balls that the Chiefs were trying to play. Why were we playing diagonals? Because there's been a lot of complaints about diagonals. Well, that's because teams just block the midfield, right? They just block the midfield and there's no way that we can play through that midfield. We'll talk about why also we can't do this later on in the video. So instead of trying to play the ball in the midfield, we're trying to find those diagonals. That's, by the way, why Kaizer Chiefs prefers and bought Ufia Krentwari, because he's much more accurate with his passing, much more comfortable with the ball on his feet compared to the other keepers that Chiefs has. So when he has the ball, he's likely to get a more accurate pass to Mfundo Vilakazi or whoever he is passing the ball to, if then comparing him to Brendan Peterson. But those are the good things. The other good thing that we saw, which was new in this game against Imakesi, is the fact that Bradley Cross, his role was different. It wasn't to be just a defender or to overlap and play crosses into the box, but we're actually using the right side to attack where there was Mfundo Vilakazi and Uri Frosla. That was on purpose. Why are we doing that? We're trying to get Imakesi to be drawn to the right side of Kaizer Chiefs, which is the left side of Imakesi. And what we would then do is then cross the ball to the left side where Cross would be running to the far post, and then he would try to get the ball back to Uranga Chivaviro. We saw this when he had that huge opportunity that he ended up missing. But that wasn't the only opportunity. There was also other times where he got into the box and he was just there at the back post. And this gave Mfundo Vilakazi a target man back post. But also, since Uranga was now more central when we're getting forward, it also allowed the Chiefs to have a target in the box. But then the target man was not doing the things because he missed that very good header, like free header. He missed it, but we're not going to talk about that much. And this is what I like. The system is always looking the same if you're looking on paper, but it changes every single game. And I love that. Now, let's talk about the problems. But before we talk about the problems, if you're enjoying the video, do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. The first problem comes in the fact that, yes, we played diagonals and we got the people that wanted to get on the ball. The only issue with that is the people that we're passing the ball to were isolated. For example, if you're passing the ball to Riff Frosla, who is on the right, he receives the ball on his own. And since we are playing a diagonal trying to bypass the midfield, that means our double pivots, which is Usamgelo Zwane, or in this case, Unjablo Blom and Yusuf Mart, were much deeper. So they were not there to support Frosla when he received the ball up front. And Mfundo Vilakazi is also trying to be central because he's trying to either get the ball in those half spaces or even in the central spaces and try to take a shot on target. So he's not really trying to go play with Frosla. And because of that, will then end up circulating the ball and playing it backwards. Then the system has redundancy in a way that we don't need a Yusuf Mart in that system. I know this is not about Mart as a player specifically, but it's about the role that he's playing, right? Because if you are going to bring on Umart or not take off Umart in the second half, like when we're playing in the second half, we did not take him off in that second half, but he is similar to Blom. Not like he plays like Uplom, but what you are expecting him to do is the same thing that you're expecting Uplom to be doing. And you need your players to be slightly different, right? Because if one is going to be protecting but is also comfortable on the ball, then one must be a box-to-box midfielder who's either going to be creative when he goes forward or can take shots, or like in the case of Castillo, can also run into the box and head the ball. Mart does not do none of those things. And so he was just there and not adding any value. If you're going to play someone, play Plum with Samuel Ozwane, because at least Samuel Ozwane has a longer range of passing. So Plum balances Suguti. He's not going to lose the ball. He's going to do the simple things. Carry the ball, control the ball, pass the ball to this one, go support. He's going to help in marking. But you also need someone who's going to be good in passing, longer range passes, but is also going to be able to go forward and attack the box. But if you're playing Marte there, then that system is just not going to work. The other problem, obviously, is the fact that if Uranga Chivaviro is the one who's dropping into midfield to make that box midfield, then that means there is no one in the box. So that means, once again, we go back to the thing. Whenever the person who receives the ball, they don't have support around them, but they also don't have options in the box. So that's another problem. The other thing, obviously, that people will complain about this system and trying to play these diagonals is the fact that, yes, Ukros is a good header of the ball, but the other issue is we're depending too much on playing those diagonals. We do not really need to be playing diagonals so much, because we found a lot of success when we're just playing the ball. And yes, Amakuleta Figile, because Scales are switchy bowler with those diagonals and played around their box, and then we're doing the things. But sometimes we just don't need to. We just need to play the ball. The problems that our players seem to have, and this is not just Mar Tuguti, oh, he was delaying the ball, him. We also had the same problem with Gaston. Like, there were so many times he's on the ball, he's supposed to make the easier pass, he still wants to dribble, he still wants to do this and that, and just take too much responsibility. Because yes, there are talks that, hey, someone needs to take responsibility in this game and start making things happen, but at times you just need to pass the ball. The second thing is we need to fear Tuare to start communicating with his defense much better, because this thing of the goal that we considered, I was sitting here watching the game and I was like, oh, that goal does not look good, because the shortest player for one is on the near post, and you cannot have that. The tallest player must be on the near post, and then the second tallest, because the keeper is on the far post. So if the person tries to play the ball over the wall on the side where the keeper is, it's easier. But if you play the ball over the wall on the side where the keeper is not, then it's going to be an easy goal. But it was still an easy goal, not because of that reason, but because the wall was just not set properly, and then the wall also just jumped and let the ball go through them. So all of those things, the keeper needs to talk, needs to be shouting and communicating with his players. Like the video, let's reach 50,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Make sure to let me know what you thought about the game. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, Ikos, Alpelumoy.